Well, welcome everyone to today's Process Mining Academy session. This is a special session as we'll be highlighting and doing a deeper dive into a significant extension to our process mining solution, task mining. And I purposely chose the word extension because, as you'll learn today, task mining is going to allow us to extend our visibility into how work is getting done beyond what we have today to the workstation level. We've got some special guests today to help educate us all. We'll get them introducing themselves in a second, but before we pass control over to them, let's get the logistics out of the way. As most of you know, the purpose of these sessions is to help us all get better educated on ServiceNow's in-platform process mining capabilities. I will provide how-tos, practical guidance, use cases, product updates like we're doing here today, and as a group, just exchange ideas and collaborate so we all continue to get better. How these sessions work, we have a scheduled topic that we'll usually cover for the first 30 minutes or so. We'll open it up for questions on the chosen topic for the session. Then we'll open it up for questions of above and beyond today's topic, sort of like an office hours. These sessions all get recorded and eventually posted on the community. This is going to be our 39th session, so there's plenty out there now for you to kind of watch on your weekends if you're interested. Feel free to post your questions in the Q&A section, please. That's instead of the chat, put them in the Q&A. While we might not get to the questions until the end for the sake of the recording, post them as you think of them so you don't forget them. We'll do our best to answer them here today, but if we can't, we'll follow up and post the answers on the Process Mining community site, or maybe use them as a topic for a future session. This is the slide that says, hey, anything we say and do here today can't be held against us in the court of law, but it's also the slide that says, as part of this conversation, if we make any forward-looking statements about things that might be coming in future releases, you should take them as forward-looking statements, make no decisions based on that information whatsoever, because things are always subject to change. I'm sure you've read the fine print. All right, who are we? Well, there's lots of us now. The team keeps expanding. Roz and Damien, who you've met on future or past sessions as part of the process mining product management team, they're here today helping us out with the Q&A. I'm not sure if Bilal or Syed have joined us. My name's Dan Grady. I'm also part of the process mining product management team, but we have two newcomers here today, Robert and Thomas. I'm going to pause and let them introduce themselves. I don't know, maybe Robert, why don't you go first?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Dan. Welcome, everyone. My name is Robert Shamanek. I'm the task mining product manager for the outbound, and looking forward to talking to you today, presenting our task mining. Thank you, Tomasz.
Thank you very much, Robert, and good morning, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tomasz Gale. I'm reporting to Robert, and I'm also representing outbound product management. Today, it's going to be my pleasure, actually, to introduce to you the task mining in a demo and a few slides.
Thank you, guys. Get back to you in a second. So what we'll do here today, as always, we've got our start with our process mining 101 for those that have just stumbled upon this for the first time. And then we'll pass it over to Robert and Tomasz to handle the task mining portion and introduce us to us. They'll be doing a demonstration as part of that session, I hope. And then, like I mentioned earlier, we'll get your questions answered. Again, put your questions in the Q&A throughout the session and we'll get them answered at the end. And then finally, we'll wrap up with some additional resources that you might be interested in after today's session. As always, the quick one-on-one, the process mining 101 for the newcomers. So with everything we do in life, there's a designed and desired path in our minds for how it should work and how things should play out, whether that be planning an event like these academy sessions or a business process. And when you design your business process, you can design them for both completeness and efficiency to provide the best experience possible for as many people as possible. Now, unfortunately, what we design isn't always what ends up happening in reality. The reality is not all the work is going to be flowing through the optimal path. And that's going to have a negative impact on both the experience somebody requesting a service is having, as well as the people trying to deliver that service. Now, identifying what is actually happening within our processes and improving them isn't always easy. What process mining, and as you'll find out today, and as well as task mining allow us to do is use audit log data that is generated as work moves through a given process to create a visual representation of what is actually happening within that process. And this new level of visibility helps us accelerate our ability to identify inefficiencies, non-conformant process activities, and improvement opportunities. Process mining gives us the ability to answer process questions that have historically been very challenging to answer. So where traditional analytics will allow us to answer a lot of the what questions about our processes, process mining helps us answer a lot of the whys. So things like, where is the process getting stuck? Where is there unnecessary rework happening? Where do we have tickets, cases, incidents, ping-ponging and bouncing between different groups and teams? Where aren't we conforming to the process we've designed? All things that have historically been difficult to answer and act upon are now available to us in a couple of clicks. We like to say that process mining is going to get us to the why behind all of our KPIs, and in doing so, empower everyone involved in the process to make data-driven decisions about which improvements to make. All right, that was the quick one-on-one, and now on to today's topic, task mining, which, as you'll learn, is going to impact that iceberg slide I just shared a few seconds ago. Thomas, Robert, you guys ready?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Hopefully. Good. So probably I will start sharing my screen.
Yes, please.
Yep. And we just took into the presenting. Good. I should be on, and the first slide is there saying task mining. So before we go into the demo, and before we probably
Oh, there we go. Is it there? Perfect.
Hopefully yes. Hopefully yes.
Yes, it is. Please.
Yeah. So before we go into a demo, let's go over a few slides just to frame the conversation, and of course any possible questions can be raised also during the demo or after that. But let's start. So what is task mining? Here at ServiceNow, we consider task mining as a systematic approach, and we're looking for a data-focused approach. So it's not about looking at the print screens. It's not about doing some OCRs or recognition of something that is happening on a screen, but it's really about capturing the events that are really happening on somebody's workstation. And by the workstation, we mean somebody's laptop or device, Mac OS or Windows machine, where we look for the interactions of users with the systems and applications. And through the logs we're getting of these events, we're seeking to reveal how manual tasks are executed within business processes. So in other words, we're extending the process mining with additional layer of data, which represents the user interaction on the workstation. By that extension, what do we exactly mean? So today we have process mining, and we can look on what is happening throughout the case execution. By case, let's say it's an incident, and there are some states which the incident is going through. All of a sudden, you might realize that you want to zoom into more details of what is happening exactly between two states that represent activities. And this is exactly where task mining can be applied to zoom in, to look underneath of the process, what the users are really doing when the specific task, which actually is something between two activities or set of activities, is really happening. Now, if we think about why, what, and when, or when we need the task mining, let's start with something very simple, like why would someone need task mining? You're all here and you're probably thinking out loud, like, okay, why am I here? What is this? So process mining, the process mining actually is a great piece of software that really helps you in a few minutes just to understand your performance. But then you need to zoom in, as I said, and you understand that the processes are not really linear. Nothing is going in a straight line. There are variants, there are deviations, and sometimes these deviations and sometimes these additional or variants actually are caused by something that process mining can uncover immediately. But if that something is related to a user itself, then it's really hard to assess what that is. So immediately, when you need to go and zoom into the user level, this is exactly where you would need the task mining to really look underneath the problems or potential problems you might have. Now, what are typical deliverables? Of course, as well as process mining, task mining extension is also an analytical part. It's a tool that really helps you to relieve any kind of the problems. It delivers some deep insights and advanced analytics, and it really can provide a very solid foundation to automation initiatives, but also to process improvement initiatives as well. Now, you also might wonder like why or when to start with the task mining. So as we said, it zooms in. So if you're lacking in visibility into how manual work is performed, then considering the task mining is not a bad idea. Also, when you're looking for some potential opportunities for the automation, especially when you want to understand like how much time is spent in which application or part of the process, and you want to quantify that work, this is something where task mining will provide very good results and very good insights. Also, along with that, you might think like, okay, I have some problems. Something isn't right. There are some possible variations. There are some possible problems. Well, task mining can reveal some more facts and more data, which you can then turn into insights. Then thinking about strategically, if you're doing some transformation projects, or you just trying to lift and shift some parts of the operation, or you just want to scale your operation further, it's not a bad thing to think about task mining just to understand what users or what people are really doing. Of course, process mining here can help as well. But again, if you need to zoom in, then task mining is your right tool to choose. And last but not least, of course, if somebody here today on the call is a process mining user, why not to complement it with another new tool, which is a task mining. So it's an ideal start to think about like, when is your POC coming? Because it's here and it's available. So how task mining work? First of all, there are components of the solution. So it's not just a workspace where you have everything you need, like process mining. In that case, the process mining is a lot more easier. But for task mining, you need something which is called Workstation Agent. It's a piece of software that needs to be installed on user workstation. By user workstation, we mean a device of somebody who he wants to collect data from. Then that data is being transferred into what we call data processing server. It's a set of algorithms and set of let's call it a middleware that does the transformation and standardization work of a data. And then the data is transmitted into the workspace, which I'm going to show you today. And in that workspace, actually, you have these analytical outcomes, which you can then use for your decision making and for any kind of the insights you're interested in. Now, with the first release, so this is a very first release of task mining in ServiceNow. We call it GA1 use case. We are solely looking into incidents and CSMs in sense of automated kind of a way. So there is one thing which you still need to bear in mind, that for task mining, you need to tell the data where your task starts and where your task ends. And for that, we came up with something which is pre-built and automated. I will show you that in a minute. So incidents are here as a first use case, and case management as well. Of course, it does not limit you to use it in a different use cases, but just for the sake of the release, this is the one we picked as the one we want to start with. So the value proposition in our use case is that if you really want to go and gain complex insights into dynamics of operations, what users are doing, and you really want to understand like what is happening underneath the operations, then this is exactly where you want to aim. It is ideal to deploy our solution in the operations that are medium to large size. The reason is quite simple. If you have a small operation, it's still okay to ask people whether they know whether there is any problem. But as your operations grow and you have, let's say, not just 5 individuals on the team, but you have 10, 15, 20, maybe 40 people doing the same work, it's really hard to have a conversation with them. So it's better to have some data to replace all the gut feelings and educated guesses. Now, as the outcome, you will get the understanding whether or not what users are doing is effective or not. For instance, you can understand like how much of a time is being spent in a task and how much is spent outside of the task. So in other words, what is a business value added time, what is a non-business value added time. You can also look for statistics like active and idle time, so when people are doing something when they're actually not behind their computers. You can also have a very nice overview of how your time is distributed per the applications or set of applications. You can also go and raise your hypothesis that you are expecting a specific time for a specific application that you probably expect, and you can deny or prove your hypothesis. And last but not least, you can even go further, deeper, and you can analyze and understand a time that is being spent for a specific activity. In this example, we are mentioning knowledge base article creation, but it can be anything and everything. You know that there is some activity and you want to know how long does it take to do that activity for users or as an aggregated analysis of all users for a specific period of time. Good. So I think just talking about it, it's not enough. It's much better to give you a sneak peek and then connect the dots. I'm sure that there will be many questions about the slides, but probably we'll answer some of those by showing you the application and the analysis in working. Before I go into the workspace itself, which is a task mining workspace, so task mining comes as a additional workspace you have available after the installation. But also task mining comes with, as I said at the very beginning, with the agents, which is the application running on someone's workstation. Mine is running as well, so I just started, just for the sake of the presentation, I started the data gathering in here, and I have a very special mode here enabled. So normally, user won't see all of that in here. It's just for the sake of this presentation to show you what's behind, okay? So behind the scene, what I'm showing right now are these events that are happening on my computer. So I click somewhere, some value is being changed, I'm focusing on some element on my screen, etc., etc. So these are all events. And these events are then taken, sent to the data processing server. Magic happen, of course. And then that magic turns all of these events into something meaningful, which you would like to then use to understand your actually workspace dynamics, like what people are actually doing. And as we said at the beginning, first thing first, what you will get is the time distribution and stratification as a representation, which is an aggregated representation. So there are some categories. I will talk about these categories in a minute, which actually put these time spent and interaction. As you can see, there are also counts, percentages, average time spent, and how many users actually were doing activities in the category like documentation and knowledge. But also, it can also take that time and drill it down also throughout the task execution, which I will show you in a minute. But this is the aggregated view. So if I select documentation category, then that category is drilled down further. So it's stratified further to text editor, PDF, PowerPoint, and knowledge base. So all of that is a documentation knowledge. And if I will then click on a text editor, for instance, it even drills down to a specific document I might have been working with. So you can really go from very up-level category down to the activity you've been performing with all the insights about like how many times that happened, what is the percentage of to total time, how many people out of the pool of people were working on it, and what is the average daily usage of that specific activity. The same goes for the users. As you can see here, I only have some IDs. This is because usernames were anonymized. Just for your information, it's not just users you can anonymize. You can, if you want, you don't have to, and there will be a name. But we can also anonymize anything that goes from the workstation through the data processing server down to these analytics and down to these dashboards. And you can be very, very flexible in what you're filtering in or out. In other words, if there are specific application or if there are specific even URLs in the web browser you don't want to be transferred to data, you can set such filters or replace these values used by something which is anonymized. Now, back to users, as you can see, again, as you have here the data stratification or time stratification as an aggregated view, the same goes for the users. So what you can do if you want to know like how much time was spent as a proportion on this category for all of these users, you can have a very nice overview how much that was, and you can compare these users. Or if you are not interested on that category, you can still switch to application and go by the application. So you can even go to a very specific calculation of a time for a specific application or any kind of the set of application. In addition to that, you can also set something which is task. Okay, so right now what you're looking at is a total time. So anything and everything that was happening on somebody's workstation, for all the users, this is a time distributed in here. But what you can also do is that you can actually set your task and then have the visibility or have the analytics only for that task. So the time spent or activities within the task boundaries. And the task scope is something that defines these boundaries. In here, I prepared a task which is called incident. And in that incident, I just said, okay, create me a task incident, use an incident table, which is an existing table on ServiceNow platform. So nothing have to be invented. And I take the mapping activity. So I'm just referring back to that slide where we have seen better together, where task mining is actually zooming into something that users are doing within the process that process mining shows. So this is exactly it. So there is a state. And I just said, my starting point is on hold, and my task can end either by state close or resolved. So what's going to happen in here is that when I click on a mining job, so I will click mine job, in the analysis, within those boundaries, every interaction that every user did will be carved out. So again, you're looking at the stratification and distribution, but this is now only for the duration or only for the period when these individuals were actually doing something within the task scope. In addition, you can also click here on this little link, view across the task timeline. And within that, actually, you can see where the time has been distributed from the start, which is the 0%, to the end, which is the 100%. Again, this is an aggregated view. So if you want to see on the, let's say, knowledge base and how much time was spent on knowledge base preparation or review, then this is exactly it. So throughout the task execution, incidents from on hold to resolved or closed, in the first half of the task execution, this is where your majority of the time in knowledge was spent. Then nothing around the knowledge was happening somewhere towards the end. And only in the last part of the task execution, something was happening in the knowledge base, which represents, by the way, 10%, approximately 10%. One last thing probably to mention, as you have seen these categories and subcategories and activities, this is something that you can really customize yourself. So as you know, there are events coming, and these events from the workstation can be tailored to your need. So how does it work? So in the data tables, so these are all events that are coming from the workstation. Let me choose the very last one, which is called max. Worth to mention in here, before you even start doing something, everything will fall into this category as max. So unless and until you define you want to expose some URL or some application or some window name, everything will be here and will be bundled. But immediately when you will decide, okay, so whenever there is an application, Safari, and the screen name is preferences, I can select this one and I can give it myself my own category and my own name for application. So again, if an application is Safari, window name is preference, I can say, okay, this is a productive time. This goes into, let's say, documentation and knowledge, and the application, I think I have a browser in there. Yes, and there's a browser. If I click save, this rule will be applied, and then every time an event will come from anybody's workstation, this rule will be applied, and that set of rules provides you actually this breakdown in your analytics. One last thing probably to mention before I will open up for questions. Any involvement of any person that is part of the data gathering requires data approval. As you can see, here are all the approvals that were actually raised for the data collection. There is a workflow behind the scene. Manager needs to approve, and there are customizable messages that a user who's going to be a part of the data gathering will receive. It's not silent mode. It's always conscious mode. It's acknowledged mode. And every time user want to do something that believes shouldn't be transmitted to the analytics through the DPS down to the dashboard or to the event data, user has a right to set a private mode and stop that events being transmitted to the DPS and then to the task mining workspace. And that's probably it for today. I know there was a lot of to digest. Of course, if anybody would like to have more insights and more detailed demo, we're more than happy to do that. But if you have any questions right now, please feel free to ask.
There's a bunch of questions that have come in via the Q&A. That's awesome. Robert has been answering them behind the scenes.
Thank you very
I'll
much.
just pause and Robert, are there any that that have come in that you think would be good to kind of answer for the larger group?
Okay, so let me review it. Whether the task mining has been released already? Yes, it has been released at the beginning of this month, so it's available. You can have it, well, tomorrow if you want to. The other one is, yeah, there was a question actually, how to define how the task mining will understand the beginning and ends of the task, meaning, for example, the incident resolution process. I hope that has been answered during the demo. If not, then we can get back to that once again. Another question was, is there a, yeah, that one I didn't understand very well, but is there a timeline on newsfeed for when it will be available for other non-task modules? So if it's, the meaning is whether there is the general overview with the time distribution available even without the task definition, task code definition, yes, you can have it. So that means you can look at the applications, of course, even outside ServiceNow platform, any kind of, and you don't need to define the beginning and ends of tasks. And within the knowledge space, so whether you will be able to investigate which knowledge article the agents are looking at and what time actually they spend with it. Yes, you will be able to identify specific knowledge articles and the time spent on it, the frequency, etc. So this is exactly one of the use cases. I think that's it then.
No, perfect. I'm just going to take control back. If you got more questions, please keep putting them in. I'll share my screen again. Keep putting those questions in there. You still got time. We'll Robert and Tomas will keep checking the Q&A and find if there's more. that we need to answer for everyone. But as we wait for those questions to come in, a couple of pieces of information that we want to make sure we get out there. One is we've just went through task mining, which is a nice, as you've probably now learned, an extension to our process mining solution. For those that have not really got a chance to play around, feel what process mining is like before, one of the things that you need to be aware of is we have activated process mining evaluation projects within your own production instances as of the Xanadu release. So if you're at the Xanadu level, which most of you I think probably are at this point, if you go to that workspaces section, you'll find the process mining workspace. And within that process mining workspace, you'll find a incident-based evaluation project that'll allow you to mine the last 7 days of closed incidents up to 3,600 records, so you can start exploring process mining with your own data. As you move to Yokohama, patch level 2 or above, you'll notice that we've added 2 additional evaluation projects, one for HR case and one for customer service case. Same sort of constraints, last 7 days of closed work, up to 3,600 records. These are just meant to give you the ability to feel and taste process mining with your own data in your own instances. When you hit the mine button, you'll be presented with a summary and insights page to kind of summarize some of the things. There'll be some initial findings on the page, like rework situations, ping pong situations, and then you'll be able to dive down into the visualized process map. So there's an opportunity for you to kind of play with process mining on your own before you're fully entitled to it in your own production instances. If you go out there to the ServiceNow community site, look for the Process Mining Product Hub, or just search the internet for how to use the process mining evaluation projects in your instance. The team's put together a few recordings to help you understand how to dig into those evaluation projects and use them to do specific use cases, like looking for automation opportunities, tools for your AI agents, or doing multi-hop analysis within your incident state. So really useful tool for those of you that are interested in kind of playing around with process mining on your own. And then obviously, if you're interested in taking it to the next level with task mining, please contact your account teams, and they'll be happy to kind of coordinate getting you in touch with Robert and Thomas and the rest of the team here. So some additional resources above and beyond today. There is a Now Learning course out there for process mining. It's new and updated on the ServiceNow University. That actually also spins up an instance with demo data if you sign up for that, so you can play around with some stuff and get hands-on with process mining there. The community forum I just mentioned, that is probably how you found us, so I don't need to mention that, but there is a specific process and now task mining product hub out there. We're combining them into one product hub. Very good resources for those of you that are new to process mining is this guide to getting started with process mining article out there that builds a little curriculum for you to help you understand kind of, hey, here's a quick little demo. Here's how you create your first projects. Here's how you use the workspace. And here's some use cases, which leads me to the use case series. For most customers, kind of looking for some inspiration around what types of analysis process mining and task mining are good for. We have something we call the use case series out there. That use case series kind of documents and details the top 10 to 15 types of analysis, like HLA breach analysis, multi-hop analysis, finding automation opportunities, how to understand the impact of a process change. These are short little 5-minute videos that help you get going. You're here, so you know about the Process Mining Academy. This is our 39th session. If you want to see any of the prior sessions and recordings, you can just search up the ServiceNow Process Mining Academy. And then just like this Academy session, we also do host once a month an office hours session, more of an open forum where you bring your questions about process and task mining, and we're there to do our best to answer them live for you. The next office hours happens to be next Thursday, I believe. I'll just pause there. Robert, Thomas, any additional questions that have come in the Q&A as I've been rambling along here with some of these additional resources?
There are some actually. If we want to answer them live, I'm more than happy to go one by one.
Yeah, if there's stuff that you think makes sense to answer live for the larger group, please do that.
Yeah, there is one actually, and the question is if this demo can be sample guided to or in the PDI. And it also says it's a great demo. We will definitely start to create a lot of content. I think we can do it even better than we did today and do a kind of a pretty guided tour for each feature we have. So setting up the project, setting up the category, etc., etc. So there's definitely going to be a lot of content like that. Another one is there, and this is more of a kind of an ask, if we can provide link to the videos. Of course.
Yeah, sure thing. So the best thing to do for the links to the video, and I don't know if Damien or Roz are still on, if they could just, while I'm answering the question, if you might just want to grab like the link to the community forum and put it in the chat. But the best thing to do is search up Guide to Getting Started with ServiceNow Process Mining in your browser. That'll get you to that page. That page is a great index to kind of guide you to all these other resources that are on the screen here. You can also go to the product hub in the community forum, and that's a great starting point where you'll find the guide, where you'll find the link to the Academy session, where you'll find the link to the use case series. The community product hub is the best place to go. And it looks like Roz and Damien have shared the link in the chat to everyone. So those links will be there, but and we'll leave this open for a little bit just so you can get those links and click on them. But always check out the community forum on the product hub, bookmark it. Anything and everything that we have, when you have questions or customers have questions or specific use cases, as soon as we solve them, we post something to the community around that solution. We'd love to kind of be as transparent as possible and give customers as much information as possible around how to use process and task mining. All right. Oh, I meant to mention this. If you do go through that course, there is a certification for process mining at the end now. So if you go through that ServiceNow University course, there is not a certification. We're calling them accreditations these days. So you can print that out. You can hang it on your fridge. You can get a tattoo made, maybe a bumper sticker, really up to you. What you do with that accreditation, but there is an accreditation now for process mining that's out there. Thank you to Roz, who's been leading that effort with our training and learning team. All right, last chance for questions. You've got additional questions, please get them into the Q&A now. Well, I do see one question. I think it applies to process mining as well. And the question is, will this work with my custom applications also? Absolutely, process mining will work with your custom applications as well. The real trick with all process mining is that we need the audit log data. So just make sure that for your custom application that you built on the platform, that auditing has been enabled. Typically, it's turned on by default. But just in case it hasn't, that's the data that we're using. So if you've got auditing turned on, process mining will absolutely work with your custom applications. Pretty much works with any workflow that's out there on the platform. It's a data-driven solution. And those are by far, just a little personal note, your custom applications are the most fun ones for us to work with. Incidents after incidents after incidents, or cases after cases after cases get a little boring. Seeing the cool things that you all our customers have done with the custom applications on the platform are super fun. I'm actually working with the customer right now on one. It's super interesting. Interesting question around process mining gamification. That's an interesting one. I like it. I would love to learn more about what you're thinking there. Maybe send me a note on the community site, or if we're connected on LinkedIn, or if you know how to find my email address, please reach out. I'd love to learn a little bit more about what you're thinking there on the gamification side of the house. All right. Any other questions? Keep them coming in. Robert or Thomas, did there anything come in that via the Q&A that we didn't answer live that we think is necessary before we kind of wrap up for the day?
I'm just reviewing it, but I think we answered all of the questions then. So thank you very much for every question. It was really, really nice to see those coming. Thank you.
Awesome. So just a couple of recent and upcoming events. If you missed them, we've recently, actually this aligns well to the question around my custom applications and the answer of pretty much anything. Damien and Roz have recently done sessions around how we can apply process mining to security operations and response. And sales order management. You can find those recordings out there on the community site. There's a specific page that says what workflows is process mining available for, and the answer to that question is all of them. But that's kind of where we house our recordings for specific workflows that we've done recordings for. The team will be at the AI summits in Atlanta, Dallas, and DC that are coming. We'll be doing a session talking about how you can align process mining to the AI agents and your AI journey. There's a number of different ways in which we align process mining or where it can help every step of the way. So we'll be covering that topic at the summits. If you're attending any of those, we'd love to interact with you in person. Super fun to meet everyone that's been joining these sessions in person. I mentioned next week's office hour session. We'd love to see you there. And then coming our next Academy session next month, we'll be doing a deep dive into all of the new features for Zurich that are coming out with Zurich. We just posted a What's New in Zurich blog post that kind of details them, but on this Academy session, we'll be doing live demos of all the new features that are available in process mining for Zurich. So those are our upcoming events. Hopefully we'll see you at some of those. Last chance for questions. And as those questions, or as you might be thinking about your questions, I just want to thank Robert and Thomas for their time here today and the great presentation and introduction to task mining. We look forward to having you on more of our process mining Academy sessions moving forward. We may even rename the Academy to Process and Task Mining Academy in the future. But thank you guys, really great job. Appreciate you having me here. All right, don't see any more questions with that. Thank you everyone for joining. Look forward to seeing you next time. Happy mining, everyone.